a president who's seasoned through and through. But that's a doggone season that he won't try something new. A man who's old enough to know
and young enough to do.
Well, it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you.
Here's to Kennedy, 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 Kennedy,
In 1960, John Fitzgerald Kennedy ran for president. He won the Democratic primary against Senator Hubert Humphrey, and upon his victory delivered his Democratic National Convention address, one of many famous and inspiring speeches. In it, he reminds Americans that although they may have faced many struggles, they still have a ways to go. His aim, which became that of the people, was to make America a better country than it was before and to keep building successes on top of each other.
Some would say that those struggles are all over, that all the horizons have been explored, that all the battles have been won, that there is no longer an American frontier. But I trust that no one in this intersection would agree with that sentiment. For the problems are not all solved, and the battles are not all won. And we stand today on the edge of a new frontier, the frontier of the 1960s, the frontier of unknown opportunities and perils, the frontier of unfilled hopes and unfilled threats. Woodrow Wilson's New Freedom promised our nation a new political and economic framework. Franklin Roosevelt's New Deal promised security and succor to those in need. But the new frontier of which I speak is not a set of promises. It is a set of challenges. It sums up not what I intend to offer to the American people, but what I intend to ask of them.
This is one of the reasons why this figure was so inspirational. Unlike past presidents with promising platforms, Kennedy offers a challenging one, the new frontier. He contrasted his platform to his Republican opponents, Nixon's, saying, "The Republican nominee, of course, is a young man, but his approach is as old as McKinley. His party is a party of the past, a party of memory. His speeches are generalities from Poor Richard's Almanac." Kennedy won the presidency in 1960. We learned in class that his rhetoric carried him through the extremely close election. Television played a huge role throughout Kennedy's presidential timeline, from his campaign to his time in office. In her essay, Mary Ann Watson observes that Kennedy's style fit well with the new visual medium. Indeed, he came to define and dominate the relationship between politics and television. Kennedy understood the power of television, and this is most apparent in his famous Nixon-Kennedy debate, the first nationally televised presidential debate. Recall the significance of the correlation of the outcome of the debate between those who had heard the debate over radio and those who had seen the candidates' faces when debating. We also learned that Kennedy's administration was nicknamed Camelot in reference to his fittingly favorite play about King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. The administration was widely loved and included Lyndon B. Johnson as Vice President, Robert McNamara as Secretary of Defense, and Robert F. Kennedy as Attorney General, among others. President Kennedy called for his fellow Americans to take on new challenges and explore ways to better all of society, including space. He made it clear he wanted to put the first man on the moon before the end of the decade. He heavily funded NASA and educational institutions, once saying that priority-wise, getting to the moon was second to national defense. On June 20th, 1969, Neil Armstrong took a giant leap for mankind on the moon. Kennedy advocated for the Care Bill, an early version of Medicare based on Social Security. He signed pieces of legislation that would increase Social Security's benefits, fund medical research, and the development of impoverished areas. Though his meaning was well, most documents supported by him did not pass. The Care Bill was 11 Senate votes shy of passing, and many of his additional education funding requests were denied. This leads us to question President Kennedy's effectiveness as a domestic leader. Remember that Kennedy had no specifically set agenda. The care bill he supported was drafted by someone else. However, he did challenge the people by providing opportunities for funding education and science programs like NASA. He also acted on what he thought would be best for the whole nation. His speeches and rhetoric roused the public, leading to the formation of humanitarian groups like the Peace Corps. A passage from the U.S. Department of State reads, "In retrospect, Kennedy's liberal reputation stems more from his style and ideals than from the implementation of his policies. But because the agenda set out in the last year of his presidency was enacted from 1964 to 1966, he was seen as a liberal force for change after his death."